Your authenticity is not your strength. It is your weakness disguised as virtue. The moment you show who you really are, you give them the blueprint to defeat you in the game. While you chase the fairy tale of being yourself, others are busy becoming who they need to be to win. They tell you to be authentic. They preach transparency. They celebrate vulnerability. These are the words of those who want you weak, predictable, and easy to manage. Real power understands that authenticity is a luxury only the powerless can afford. The world does not reward you for being yourself. It rewards you for being what it needs. Those who confuse these two concepts spend their lives wondering why their honesty brought them nothing but disappointment and their openness nothing but exploitation. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be effective. The mask is not deception, it is strategy. And today, you will learn why the most successful people in history understood this fundamental truth. Authenticity without power is just elaborate self-sabotage. The corporate world, the political arena, the social hierarchy. None of these systems care about your inner truth. They care about your outer utility. They measure your worth not by who you are, but by what you deliver. This is not cynicism. This is reality. Every day, millions of people walk into offices, boardrooms, and meetings believing that their authentic selves will be rewarded. They share their struggles, express their uncertainties, reveal their fears. They think this makes them relatable, trustworthy, human. What it actually makes them is replaceable. Modern culture has sold you a lie wrapped in good intentions. They have convinced you that success comes from staying true to yourself, from authentic leadership, from vulnerable connection. These concepts sound beautiful in theory, but they crumble under the weight of reality. Here is what they do not tell you about authenticity. It makes you readable. When you are readable, you are manageable. When you are manageable, you are replaceable. The person who shows all their cards loses the game before it begins. Your authentic self includes your fears, your insecurities, your doubts, your weaknesses. Why would you voluntarily display these to a world that is constantly evaluating your value, your competence, your worthiness of respect? You would not enter a negotiation by listing everything you are willing to give up. Yet this is exactly what unlimited authenticity demands. The successful understand that identity is not fixed, it is fluid. They know that who you are in private and who you need to be in public serve different purposes. One is for your comfort, the other is for your advancement. Confusing these roles is where most people fail. Look at any leader who lasted, any empire that endured, any influence that spanned generations. You will find not authenticity, but adaptation, not transparency, but strategic disclosure, not vulnerability, but calculated openness that serves a greater purpose. This does not make them liars, it makes them effective. There is a difference between deception and discretion, between falsehood and focus. The authentic person shows everything, the strategic person shows what matters. Consider the executive who built $1 billion company. In private, he might struggle with imposter syndrome, worry about market conditions, question his decisions daily. In public, he projects confidence, clarity, unwavering vision. Which version serves his shareholders better? Which version inspires his team? Which version attracts investors? The authentic approach would have him sharing his doubts in board meetings, expressing his fears to his team, revealing his uncertainties to investors. The result? Panic, loss of confidence, market volatility, and ultimately, the collapse of everything he worked to build. The strategic approach allows him to process his doubts privately while projecting the confidence his role demands publicly. This is not dishonesty, this is responsibility. The difference between personal truth and professional utility is not moral compromise, it is mature leadership. But the authenticity movement has convinced an entire generation that any form of strategic presentation is somehow morally inferior. They have made adaptation seem like betrayal, discretion seem like deception, and strategic thinking seem like manipulation. This moral framework serves those who benefit from your predictability. When you announce your intentions, reveal your strategies, and broadcast your limitations, you make it easier for competitors to outmaneuver you, for manipulators to exploit you, and for systems to contain you. The most dangerous aspect of the authenticity trap is that it feels virtuous. It provides the psychological comfort of moral superiority while systematically undermining your effectiveness. You get to feel good about being real while your opportunities disappear, your influence diminishes, and your impact shrinks. Every interaction is a performance, whether you acknowledge it or not. The question is not whether you will play a role. The question is whether you will choose that role consciously or let others choose it for you. When you insist on being authentically yourself in every situation, you are essentially saying that your comfort is more important than your effectiveness. You are declaring that your need to express every aspect of your personality outweighs your need to achieve your goals. This is not integrity. This is self-indulgence. Strategic identity operates on a simple principle. Become what the situation requires while maintaining your core values. This is not about becoming fake. It is about becoming focused. Your authentic self might be scattered across dozens of interests, moods, and impulses. Your strategic self channels these into whatever form serves your objectives. The executive who needs to inspire confidence does not share his morning anxieties with his team. The negotiator who needs to appear immovable does not reveal her internal flexibility until the right moment. The leader who must project strength does not discuss his fears in public forums. Are they being inauthentic? Or are they being responsible? Are they lying? Or are they prioritizing? The difference lies in understanding that authenticity serves you, not the world. When you flip this relationship, you become a servant to every emotion, every impulse, every aspect of yourself that might not serve the moment. Consider this: your authentic self changes constantly. The person you are when tired differs from who you are when energized. The person you are alone differs from who you are with others. The person you are under pressure differs from who you are in comfort. Which one is the real you? They are all you, but they are not all useful in every context. Strategic identity means choosing which version of yourself to present based on what the situation demands, not on what feels most natural in the moment. This requires emotional discipline. It requires the ability to set aside immediate impulses for long-term gains. It requires understanding that your feelings are information, not commands. You can acknowledge anxiety without broadcasting it. You can feel uncertainty without projecting it. The strategic person asks, "What does this situation need from me?" The authentic person asks, "How can I be most myself in this situation?" One question leads to effectiveness, the other to self-expression. Sometimes these align, often they do not. When they do not align, the strategic person chooses effectiveness. The authentic person chooses expression. Over time, one builds influence while the other builds a reputation for being genuine but ineffective. Think about the most successful people you know. Do they show up the same way in every context? The CEO who commands a boardroom transforms when mentoring a junior employee. The politician who projects authority in public shows different sides when building coalitions behind closed doors. The investor who appears ruthless in negotiations reveals other aspects when building long-term relationships. This is not multiple personality disorder. This is social intelligence. This is understanding that different situations call for different aspects of your complete self. The authentic person refuses to adapt, insisting on expressing their full complexity in every moment. The strategic person selects the appropriate facet for each context. The result: the authentic person is appreciated for their realness, but often excluded from important decisions, major opportunities, critical moments. They are seen as genuine, but not suitable for high-stakes situations. The strategic person is trusted with increasing responsibility because they demonstrate the judgment to present appropriately for each context. But here is what most people miss about strategic identity. It actually requires deeper self-knowledge than authenticity does. The authentic person can simply react and call it genuine. The strategic person must understand themselves well enough to consciously choose which aspect to present. This means the strategic person must be intimately familiar with their full range of capabilities, emotions, and responses. They must know which version of themselves serves best in high-pressure negotiations, which version builds trust with new clients, which version inspires teams during difficult periods. The authentic person has one mode, whatever they happen to be feeling at the moment. The strategic person has a full repertoire. They can access whatever the situation requires while maintaining their core identity and values. This is not compartmentalization or fragmentation. This is integration. This is the difference between being controlled by your emotions and having access to your full emotional and behavioral range when needed. There is a fundamental truth about human psychology that the authenticity movement ignores. People do not want your complete truth. They want the version of truth that serves them, comforts them, or benefits them in the moment. Your boss does not want to hear about your personal problems when she needs you focused on a critical project. Your client does not want to know about your inexperience when he needs confidence in your ability to deliver. Your team does not want to see your uncertainty when they need direction and leadership. This is not because people are shallow or selfish. It is because they have their own responsibilities, pressures, and objectives. Your authentic self-expression, if it conflicts with their needs, becomes a burden they must manage rather than a resource they can utilize. The strategic person understands this dynamic and works with it rather than against it. Instead of demanding that others accommodate their authentic complexity, they present the aspect of themselves that best serves the shared objective. But here is where it gets deeper. This approach actually creates better relationships, not worse ones. When you consistently show up in ways that serve others while pursuing your goals, you build trust, reliability, and respect. People know they can count on you to be appropriate to the situation. The authentic person believes they are building deeper connections by showing their real self. But what they often create is confusion, discomfort, and doubt. Others never know which version of them will show up, what mood they might be in, how their personal issues might affect their professional performance. As Machiavelli observed, everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. This is not a limitation. It is an opportunity. If few will ever truly know you anyway, why not ensure that what they see serves both your interests and theirs? The strategic person recognizes that most relationships are functional, not intimate. Your co-workers need to see competence, not your morning struggles. Your clients need to see confidence, not your internal debates. Your team needs to see direction, not your uncertainties. This does not mean you become emotionless or calculating. It means you become intentional. You feel everything, but you express strategically. You experience the full range of human emotions and thoughts, but you choose which ones to share based on what serves the relationship, the goal, the moment. The authentic person believes that suppressing any aspect of themselves is somehow dishonest. The strategic person understands that selective expression is simply mature. You do not share every thought with every person. You do not react to every provocation. You do not express every feeling the moment you feel it. This is not repression, it is curation. And curation is the difference between raw talent and refined skill, between potential and performance, between who you could be and who you choose to become. Consider the neuroscience behind this. Your brain processes thousands of thoughts, emotions, and impulses every minute. The idea that you must express all of these to be authentic is not just impractical, it is neurologically impossible. You are already filtering, already choosing, already selecting what to express and what to contain. The question is whether you do this filtering consciously and strategically, or unconsciously and reactively. The strategic person develops conscious control over this natural filtering process. The authentic person pretends this filtering does not exist, and then wonders why their unfiltered expression creates problems. The research is clear. People form impressions of you within seconds of meeting you. These impressions are based not on your authentic complexity, but on the specific behaviors, expressions, and energy you project in that moment. You are already creating an impression. The only question is whether you do it intentionally or accidentally. The strategic person takes responsibility for the impressions they create. They understand that every interaction is an opportunity to build trust, demonstrate competence, or advance their objectives. The authentic person leaves these impressions to chance, then complains when others misunderstand them. But the strategic person also understands something the authentic person does not. The impression you create is not about manipulation. It is about service. When you show up as the version of yourself that best serves the situation, you are actually serving others more effectively than when you indulge in whatever happens to feel most natural. Yet the isolation is real. The more competent you become at strategic adaptation, the fewer people will know you fully. This is not necessarily a loss. Most people cannot handle full knowledge of another person anyway. They prefer the edited version, the one that makes sense to them, that serves their needs, that fits their understanding. But you will need spaces and relationships where you can be less strategic, more exploratory, more spontaneous. The key is choosing these contexts deliberately rather than defaulting to authenticity everywhere. The most powerful people understand that influence is not about being liked for who you are, it is about being needed for what you provide. Authenticity seeks acceptance. Strategy seeks effectiveness. One is based on hope, the other on value creation. When you shift from authentic self-expression to strategic value delivery, you stop depending on others to appreciate your true self and start ensuring they benefit from your chosen self. This is a fundamental shift in power dynamics. The authentic person says, "Accept me as I am." The strategic person says, "Let me become what this situation requires." One is a request, the other is a service. One puts the burden on others to adapt to you. The other puts the responsibility on you to adapt to what is needed. This does not mean you lose yourself, it means you multiply yourself. Instead of being limited to one way of being, you develop a range of capacities. Instead of hoping your natural tendencies will serve every situation, you ensure you can serve every situation you encounter. Consider the difference between flexibility and instability. The unstable person changes because they have no center. The flexible person changes because they have a strong enough center to adapt without losing themselves. Strategic identity requires this kind of inner stability, a core set of values and objectives that remains constant even as your expression adapts. Your values do not change. Your methods do. Your goals do not shift with every mood. Your tactics do. Your fundamental principles remain steady. Your presentation adjusts to serve those principles most effectively. This is why strategic identity is actually more authentic than unlimited self-expression. It requires you to know yourself well enough to maintain your center while adapting your surface. It demands greater self-awareness, not less. You must understand your core values deeply enough to serve them through different expressions. The person who insists on being exactly the same in every context either has never examined themselves deeply enough to distinguish between surface preferences and core values, or they have confused comfort with authenticity. True authenticity means being true to your deepest values and highest objectives, not to your most immediate impulses or comfortable habits. It means asking not what feels most natural, but what serves my deepest commitments. As Machiavelli observed, the lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. Strategic identity embodies this wisdom. You develop the capacity to be what each situation requires, while never losing sight of what you ultimately serve. The strategic person does not sacrifice authenticity, they refine it. They do not abandon their true self, they develop it. They do not become fake, they become focused. But this mastery comes with a cost that few discuss. The better you become at strategic adaptation, the lonelier you may feel. Not because you are isolated from others, but because others are relating to your strategic presentation, not your complete self. You become successful, respected, influential, and sometimes unknown. This is the hidden price of effectiveness. The more skilled you become at giving others what they need, the less they may understand what you need. The more adept you become at strategic presentation, the fewer people see your complete picture. Some will call this tragic. The strategic person calls it the cost of impact. Every choice has consequences. The authentic person chooses comfort and connection, but often limits their influence. The strategic person chooses effectiveness and impact, but accepts the loneliness of leadership. Neither choice is wrong, but you must choose consciously, understanding the full implications of each path. The authentic path offers the warmth of being known, but may limit your ability to create change. The strategic path offers the power to create impact, but may limit how deeply you are known. Most people want both, to be completely authentic and completely effective, to be fully known and fully powerful. This is the fantasy that keeps them trapped between authenticity and strategy, never fully committing to either, never fully achieving the benefits of either. The mature choice is to understand that these are different tools for different purposes. Authenticity serves intimacy. Strategy serves effectiveness. Use each in its appropriate context rather than demanding that one tool serve all purposes. The highest level of strategic identity is knowing when to be authentic and when to be strategic. This is not about compartmentalization. It is about conscious choice based on what the situation requires and what your objectives demand. In your closest relationships, authenticity may serve better. In your professional relationships, strategy may serve better. In crisis situations, strength may serve better. In healing situations, vulnerability may serve better. The key is choice, conscious, intentional, strategic choice about which aspect of your complete self to present in each context. This is not manipulation, it is mastery. You now face a choice that will determine the trajectory of your influence, your effectiveness, and ultimately your impact on the world around you. You can continue believing that the world should accept you as you are, that authenticity is always virtuous, that being yourself is sufficient for success. This path is comfortable. It is also limiting. You will be genuine, and you will be constrained by whatever limitations your current authentic self possesses. Or you can understand that identity is a tool, that presentation is strategy, that adaptation is strength. This path is more demanding. It requires greater self-awareness, more emotional discipline, clearer thinking about what you want to achieve and why. But it also offers something the authentic path cannot: the ability to become more than you currently are. The choice is not between being real and being fake. It is between being static and being strategic, between hoping you are enough as you are and ensuring you become what is needed, between expressing yourself and serving something greater than your immediate impulses. Most will choose comfort. They will choose the familiar limitations of their current authentic selves over the uncertain possibilities of strategic development. They will choose being understood over being effective. They will choose expression over influence. You are not most people, or you would not have listened this far. Strategic identity is not about deception. It is about precision. It is not about lying. It is about focusing. It is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming the best version of yourself for each situation you encounter. The mask is not your enemy. It is your tool. Use it wisely, and it will serve you. Reject it entirely, and you serve only your current limitations. The world does not owe you acceptance of your authentic self, but you can ensure it benefits from your strategic self. One is a hope, the other is a promise. Choose accordingly, but choose consciously. And once you choose, commit completely. Half measures in either direction serve no one, not you, not those around you, not the goals you claim to pursue. The path of strategic identity demands everything, but it offers everything in return. The question is not whether you are capable of this level of intentional development. The question is whether you are willing to pay the price for the power it provides. This is not a path for everyone. It requires the courage to let go of the comfort of being understood for the power of being effective. It requires the discipline to choose long-term impact over short-term expression. It requires the wisdom to know when authenticity serves and when strategy serves. But for those who choose this path, who commit to this level of intentional development, who are willing to become what their highest objectives require. For them, there are no limits to the influence they can build, the impact they can create, the change they can make in the world. The choice is yours. Choose wisely.